Hey guys, how's it going? Nick is here once again, as always, and we have a beautiful Sunday afternoon / evening here just downstairs from my apartment in Liede, Guangzhou, China. So I thought, I'd take a little moment, maybe 10-20 minutes to tell you something interesting that happened to me this past week in terms of a new manufacturer that I've been looking into since December. And I'll probably start the story there in December when I went to Philippines and tell you about my plan and how everything worked out, to how I found a new manufacturer with awesome prices, awesome textile material that I wanted, factory visits, kind of like the rough outline of the story and how everything happened. So strap yourselves in. If you're planning to launch a product anytime soon, or you've launched one and you're looking for new suppliers, I think this story will probably give you some tidbits of interesting information. And if you're not, then I think you're just gonna have to come along for the ride. All right, so how everything started was I came to visit Guangzhou, China in November on my way to Philippines. My friends encouraged me to come here first and live for about 10 days to get a real sense of the city and of China in general, because I'm known to make plans and talk about a lot of things, but last minute sometimes change things or not really see certain angles of it. So I ended up taking them up on their advice. As I got here in, I believe it was November 20th, 21st, it just so happened that my friend Rico had one of his clients and friends coming by, and they were going to go on multi-factory visit in northern China, around Shanghai, Nantong. I don't remember the other cities. So around that area. I said, I'll gladly tag along. It sounds like a lot of fun. We went. In the process, I actually ended up finding out by asking my current factory, hey, so where are you guys located exactly? And she told me, and it was actually really close to a couple of hours away by car from the factory that we were visiting, or the area factories that we were visiting. So I asked Rico, and he graciously agreed to dedicate half of his day to just grab a Didi, which is China's Uber, over to my factory, inspect it, or just watch over my shoulder as I talk to my factory for the first ever factory visit. I mean, we've been working together for a year and a half, and I've never really been there or met them. So I was like, okay, why not? So I went in, we took a trip down. In another video, I covered what that experience was like. Basically, to sum it all up, it was a lot less than I expected. My current factory, they were producing other products that were in the same category, but just a lot simpler, a lot cheaper, stuff that I wasn't really interested in to produce, because for me, I like to go for high quality, high brand, upper price, limit, and really put in the money and the time into the design, into how the product looks, how it functions, basically make it the best. I'm not in the commodities trade market, so to speak. And so what we ended up finding out, and with Rico's help and actual feedback, I ended up finding out that their quality control is not bad. The prices were very high because they had these other products that they were allocating their time and money to that were a lot simpler, and they were making a lot more profit from them than this product. So obviously they would put this one on the back burner. It's almost like what Rico told me, it's almost like they're raising the price on you every single year or every single order that you make, just to kind of stop you from coming to them for this product, just to almost discourage you from ordering it from them. And that kind of made sense in a twisted, weird kind of way. It made a little bit of sense. So what I committed to after that visit is go to Philippines with my friend Kiefer, who I recently interviewed in Chiang Mai, live with Kiefer in Cebu, Philippines, which was his first digital nomad experience. And I really wanted to be there for that, because he's one of my closest friends in this world. But while I was doing that in December, I was committed to finding 20 suppliers, getting them to send samples to Rico's office that I would later assess when I got there, and basically narrowing down from 20 down to top 3, and then visiting the top 3 suppliers. When I got back to the office, I had samples from 5 different factories. 2 of them, the material was so-so, the communication was so-so, so I kind of got them off the list. Third one, last second, basically ended up raising the price from, let's say, $1 per unit, just arbitrary number, $1 per unit, to $350 per unit, which is just like insane raise, and I'm glad that they did that, you know, so I could get them out of the way. So that left two factories up north that were not too far from each other. And this is the video that I did recently that I titled My Visiting Factory Story, and you can hear that with all the details and what I learned. Basically, first factory I visited was just awful and terrible, and they just took me on a whirlwind of adventure. It was probably like the most inconsistent trading company I've dealt with, and they were not a factory by any, like they were definitely a trading company, and it was just not enjoyable process. But the second factory, however, that was a legitimate factory that I visited. They actually came up with, you know, really good products, so their material was top of the line, better than my current supplier currently make. Their approach to just the measurements and how they created things, it was very detailed, and they were asking me some of the questions that I would not normally, you know, think about, and their price was one of the lowest ones. So originally they quoted me $1. Let's say originally they quoted me $1.70, right? Then this is actually pretty much what it is. I think I'm just gonna speak in US prices. So they quoted me $1.70 per unit. When I left and when I came back for a second run, just before I got there, they were like, it's gonna be $1.80 because of labor costs and taxation that the government's putting on us, which is completely normal, but they will do it, but doesn't necessarily mean they have to give into it. Like the negotiation is just like, oh, we can't do it, I'm sorry, that's too much. You know, this, like the price is the only thing that's preventing us. Like we like this, but like the price, we can't work with it. So it's kind of like you have to put on, that's kind of how they do business. It's kind of like this dramatic acting of just like, no, there's no way we can do that. That is not the price we can work with, and just like keep dropping it back down, keep dropping it back down. So what ended up happening is I actually have 3 variations of my product. So they gave me a quote of, from 180, they went back to 177, 183, and 189 respectively for each different sizing of my variation. And that was just like such a big increase, and I went back to them, and constantly, I was there for 2 days, and I think if you're gonna negotiate prices or negotiate terms in person, just plan 2 days. It really shows when you stay there overnight and show up the next day, even if 3 days, like that's even better. When you're just there constantly, just, hey, I'm not leaving till we get this solved. And at that point, they'll almost like, okay, well, this guy's serious, let's just, you know, get, like, not really get rid of him, but let's just, okay, he's here to make something happen. He's not just gonna take it and run, you know, like take whatever price we give him and just like kind of screw off. That's not what's gonna happen. So I was there for 2 days. First day we like really worked at detailed samples, quantities. I left the quality control stuff for later. I just wanted to figure out first the sample themselves, so that the quote was predicated a lot on the weight of each unit, because how much textile and fabric to be used in that specific, you know, unit. Well, after we worked out all the samples and everything, all the weight, all the sizing, everything for all 3 variations, basically they gave me a quote which was that like 177, or originally it was actually 179, like 185 something. Then they dropped to 177, 183, 189. Difference of 3 cents or 6 cents for each variation up, which was quite a lot. Like that's a really big jump. It's like, well, and then I went back to, you know, well, you originally quoted me 170 and then it became 180. Then now it's 177, 183. Like now it's ridiculous. Now the average is like 186, right? Or 183, the average. And I'm just like, this is just not gonna work for us. Like you're making promises, then like this is not a good relationship building, so to speak, you know, acts or exercises. So then I'm not sure what exactly happened there, whether I got lucky or whether that was like one of their little, you know, tactics. But basically I had different quantities for different sizes. So I was ordering 70,000 of first unit, 70,000 of second unit, and 60,000 of third unit. So what they did was they thought, I think this is kind of how I interpreted it, is they thought that I wanted 10,000 of the first unit, which was 177, and then 70,000 of second unit, which was 183, and then 60,000 of the third unit, which was 189. So because it was 10,000 of the lower end unit, they basically dropped the price from 177 to 171, because it's like, I pay less, but I pay less for a lot less units, right? And then they raised the price to 179 or 180 something and 180 something. They actually raised the prices for those other ones. They're like, look, we made you a deal, right? Like but if you really like multiply it out and add them all up, I'm ending up paying a lot more. So I'm like, no, that's not gonna work. And actually, you guys made a mistake. I actually want 70,000 units of the first one, not 10,000. The whole time I was just pushing the 3 different prices of 173, 176, and 179. You know, 0.03 like, or 3 cents increase on each instead of 6 cents increase. And I really wanted that average price of 175, 176, because I felt like that would be a really good, actually like a better price than my current supplier. Not by a lot, but still a better price better quality material and better supply that's more communicative that I could deal with large quantities, and they could actually handle the amounts that I'm asking them for. One of the biggest drawbacks of my previous supplier was that they could only make small quantities. Any kind of large quantity would just take months and months and months, and they would actually charge more rather than less, which really kind of ticked me off, because that is not how business is done. When I proposed it like that, it's like, no, I want 70,000 units of the first one, not 10,000. The boss was like, oh, you want it like that? Well, why don't we just combine everything into one price and just call it an even price of 176 for all sizes? And I'm like, well, that's what I've been saying from the beginning. I wanted just one average price. Why did you put this, whole doggone punch? Which is obviously, I know why it had to be, gone back and forth. But I think that if you're gonna be negotiating, and I cannot stress this enough, that this should be done in person. Or send a sourcing agent, pay them a couple $100, cover their expenses, make them go to the factory and do it in person. You will save yourself thousands of dollars. This kind of negotiation just does not get done online. This is like maybe in the West, in Europe, you can have a call and you can just shoot the price back and forth, have a Skype, have a face chat. Chinese are still face to face kind of negotiation. That's a must. If you're not doing that, you're losing money. I can promise you. And I don't care what you're paying. You're either losing on money or on quality. One of those two. It has to be done in person. And the one big lesson that I kind of took away from this is have your target prices, have all of your targets set before you go in. So this is the price that I'm comfortable to pay. Here's my stretch goal price, which is if I got this, I'd be cloud nine. Have your quality material, QC, everything drawn out. And this is something that I learned after the first one. I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not go in with all of those things. I was just more of here's the general kind of place where I want to end up, and I didn't have all the details. But after the 2-day spend there, now I know, for the next one, it's okay, here's all the little details that I need to hash out in my own head or with Rico before I go in and actually sit down. Know your end goal, number one. And number two is keep pushing, keep saying, we can't do this price. If the price is not budging, veer off, talk about other things like quality control, maybe accepting 20% rather than 30% deposit, negotiating the quantity. It's okay, you're not gonna lower the price, then we're gonna lower the quantity that we order. Or can we order more quantity, which will inevitably yield to a lower price? And how much lower is, up to your negotiation skills, how much you can push it. Also pay really close attention. I think that me calling them out, taking the original sample that they sent me that they priced at $1.70 and weighting it on the scale and saying, look, you priced it this sample weighs more than the 2 out of the 3 variations, and the two out of the 3 variations are 177 and 183 respectively. So why is this sample that's weighs more is a lot cheaper? This doesn't make sense. So we cannot go for these prices. I think pay attention. I think the best mindset to adopt when you're negotiating with manufacturers, or you're just talking to them, or you're discussing prices, is always remember that you're in the process of information gathering. You want to gather as much data, write it down. You're almost like a detective. You're trying to get, okay, how much for this quantity? How much for this quantity? Can we change the material? Can we change the sizing? Can we change the color? Just get all these different variations and informations of how much would it be for what kind of variation, what kind of material, what kind of size. And then when you have all that aggregate information, go back to your hotel room or leave and then come back for a second visit, analyze all that data and see where the inconsistencies are. Because I promise you, if you get all that, they're literally making up quotes as they go. They know the general price that they want to sell it to, and 500 units will be $5, but then 1,000 units will be $3.50, and then 2,000 units will be $3.25. It's well, hold on. Why is it we jumped from 5 to 350 and then we jumped from 350 to 325, although I doubled every time? So you got to look out for those kind of inconsistencies. I think a good advice would be talk less about your dreams and your ambitions and your business, and ask questions and just listen. I think that's probably would be the best approach that I'm going to adopt in the future myself, is just shut your mouth, ask a question, and just listen and bob your head and write everything down. Even better if you can record on your phone what they say. Whether they, you could say hey, I'm just going to record it for the future. They're not going to like that. Maybe record it, sneakily. I don't know if you want to try that. I haven't done it yet, but I've just always taken super detailed notes and then went back and reassessed everything. And in that process of investigation and information gathering, if you allocate enough time to just analyze everything, and I promise you, if you have, $40,000, $50,000 of your own money riding on the line, you will spend enough time analyzing it. And then, see where the inconsistencies are, bring it up to them. And as long as you can build like a logical argument, basically like any logical win that you get, even small one, think of it as like you just dropped your quote by a couple of percentage points. So you just went from 180 to 177. You just went from 177 to 175. Every single time you can say, well, this is inconsistency. This doesn't make sense. It's almost like you never want to call them a liar. You never want to lose. And this is another big thing too. I felt like losing my shit a lot of times. I felt like, okay, guys, you're clearly fucking with me here, right? Like, come on, what's going, like, how is this one quote and then it changed and then you keep raising the price? Like, this is so unprofessional. Keep calm. Keep calm. This will show them a lot about your character and about your negotiation style. And you want to work with these people eventually. If you lose your shit, it's going to just put a lot of strain on the future business relationship that you're going to have with them. And they are your partner, whether you like it or not. They're your partner in your business. You are responsible for the sales side, keep selling and keep reordering from them. They are responsible for manufacturing good quality products that you can sell. You guys are together in it. You're not mad at them personally, you're mad at the situation that's presented to you, whether it be a quote or a QC or contract. You're mad at that. This is what's getting you angry and, out of your comfort zone. It's not them. Don't look at them as antagonists and you're the protagonist, you're the good guy, they're the bad guy. You are both just trying to work out the situation. I think the best book, Never Split the Difference. Rico actually recommended this to our whole group, and it's one of my favorite audiobooks to listen to. Great, great cover of the author and the guy who actually does the voiceover. I don't know his name, and I forgot the author's name, but Never Split the Difference is it's a former FBI lead hostage negotiator. He wrote this book, and it's tremendous in terms of negotiations. That's one of the things that I took from it was don't treat the counterpart, the person that you're having, whether a debate or an argument or a discussion or a negotiation with. It's the situation itself that you are both trying to solve, and that's where negotiation, because once you walk away or they walk away, there's no more negotiation. Both parties lose. So you're trying to find that win-win where they're happy. You don't want to make him too happy. You want to make him happy enough to accept the deal, because I remember when we shook hands on the final price, he was not super happy, because I'm pretty sure like he probably has other clients that don't really like try to drill down the price as much, so we went over that and he wasn't super happy, but he was like, okay, fine, I accept. It was almost like him giving in, like, screw it, like I don't want to argue with this guy. And I was really excited. And then that's when we talked about QC, the next 5 steps. After the price was accepted, QC was accepted, what are the next 5 steps going to look like, and that was basically it. And then that was last week. I'm back in Guangzhou now, got 20 days to really work on that at the beginning, at least the phase 1 of that YouTube kind of series that I guys promised you a lot about how I do my product research and how to find suppliers, and just include all the templates and everything and how I do it. Working on that, working on more suppliers, more factory visits around Guangzhou, and solidifying this new supplier. So I hope you learned something from this story. I hope I imparted some value, or at the very least you guys were entertained by it. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions or comments about my process and how that unfolded, I would love to hear about it. Of course, comment down below. Other than that, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this beautiful Sunday afternoon, maybe get some shisha, do a little bit of journaling, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.